On her wedding day, she was heartbroken. Then a millionaire doctor revealed a surprising proposal. Sarah stood in front of the mirror, her fingers trembling as they traced the delicate lace of her sleeves. The white dress, beautiful and ethereal, felt both like a crown and a shackle. Today was supposed to be the culmination of her dreams, a testament to love, commitment, and a promise of family. Yet, the excitement twisted into anxiety as images of her childhood flooded her mind. The laughter, the warmth, and the eventual silence when her father turned away. She sighed, forcing back the emotions threatening to spill over. Today was a new beginning, yet it felt like a trap. As she stepped out of the bridal suite, Sarah's heart raced with anticipation mingled with dread. The chapel, adorned with blooms and warmth, morphed into a cage. She could almost hear the ticking clock, a reminder that time was running out. Would her father show up? Would he disrupt everything? Her chest tightened at the thought, and with each step, the whispers of the guests began to dance around her, heightening her unease. A picture-perfect wedding, except she wasn't completely whole. Then, just outside the chapel doors, the moment came that would change everything. She caught sight of Daniel, her fiancé, arguing heatedly with her estranged father. A memory surfaced, one of hurt and betrayal. Her breath hitched as an icy wave swept over her. Here it was, the very nightmare she had tried to suppress. It spiraled inside her, melding her excitement with anguish. Torn between her dreams of love and the reality of her family's tumult, she felt paralyzed. The vibrant colors of the day dulled, and she was slipping into a storm of doubt. Before she could overthink it, instinct propelled her into motion. She pushed past the gathered guests, the stares burning into her back like judgmental arrows. Tears streamed down her face as she fled the only life she had envisioned. The chapel door slammed shut behind her, marking an end to a chapter she once believed in fervently. In her frantic escape, she collided with a man, Dr. Alex Carter, a well-respected surgeon, known for his philanthropy and grace. His presence anchored her just long enough to allow for a fleeting moment of calm amidst the chaos. But then he looked into her eyes, and she felt exposed. He had witnessed the heartbreak, understood the depths of her unrest without a single word exchanged. Alex approached her gently, his voice low yet powerful with compassion. "You don't have to go through this alone. Talk to me." As they spoke, her burdens began to spill. Her voice wavered as she shared her fears of losing her family and her dreams of commitment, the pressure intensifying in her chest. Alex listened intently, as if every word mattered, sealing their connection in unspoken understanding. Then came his surprising proposition, a radical healthcare initiative that spoke to her nursing heart. An unexpected path that stirred a flame within her, a whisper of hope among the turmoil. But as the day unfolded, shadows loomed over her newfound path. Her father's disapproving presence clawed at her mind, born from years of unmet expectations. Would she really forsake her family's legacy for her happiness? Could she navigate this new life in the shadows of her past? Each day spent with Alex drew her closer to liberation while pinching her family ties tighter in response. It was a battle raging within, debilitating yet electrifying. Just when she felt she might seize control, an old family secret clawed its way to the surface, an unraveling truth that shattered everything she thought she knew. In the following days, every breath became a choice between love and duty, the weight of her family pressing down like a vice. Late one night, under the sweeping Chicago skyline, her thoughts spiraled, caught between her father's legacy and Alex's unwavering support. An unanswered call vibrated in her pocket, drawing her attention, heart racing with uncertainty. What was the price of her happiness? Could she reclaim her future while reconciling her past? The answers danced just out of reach, leaving her dangling at a precipice. Sarah paced the rooftop terrace, the city's heartbeat reverberating beneath her. Each flicker of light in the distance felt both inviting and suffocating, an amalgamation of dreams intertwined with her chaotic reality. She clutched her phone, watching the screen light up with her father's name, his persistent calls a reminder of the divisions that plagued her life. What would she say? How could she articulate her feelings when her heart was screaming for both resolution and freedom? Desperate for distraction, she turned her thoughts to the healthcare initiative Alex had proposed. The idea of working with him ignited a flicker of excitement within her, a burgeoning sense of purpose that clashed with her familial obligations. She envisioned the difference they could make, transforming lives, improving care. Yet, nestled in that excitement was fear, a nagging worry that her commitment might lead her to forsake her ties even further. Was she running from her family to embrace a new destiny? Or was she stepping into an unfamiliar role that echoed the failures of her past? Drifting back to the life waiting below, Sarah felt a pang of guilt surfacing. The picture of the wedding she had abandoned loomed large. Her mother's face during the rehearsal, a mixture of disappointment and confusion. Did she still want to reconcile with her family, even at the cost of her newfound aspirations? Each question tightened its grip around her heart. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery strokes. In that moment, she remembered Alex's calm demeanor, the passion that radiated from him as he spoke about their project. He had seen beyond her tears, grasping the brilliance waiting to emerge from within her, and she felt acutely aware of how different her life had the potential to be if she committed to this path. Yet, doubt clawed at her mind. Was she equipped to lead this initiative? Would her family's shadow still loom large, dragging her back into turmoil? She had spent years nurturing a shy child within, the one who feared stepping out of the shadows cast by parental expectations. Now, in the crucible of uncertainty, she realized it was time to confront the past with honesty, not just for her father's sake, but for her own. Down on the street, the laughter of people celebrating life wafted upward, a stark contrast to her inner turmoil. As the last sliver of sunlight disappeared, Sarah felt a surge of resolve igniting deep within her. It was time to face her father, not out of obligation or fear, but to seek a mutual understanding, to confront the illusions that had shaped her life. She grabbed her phone, her thumb hovering over the call icon as she prepared to bridge the chasm that had long separated them. Just then, a text from Alex buzzed on her phone, urging her to meet him and discuss the initiative in detail. The weight of the moment hung suspended in the air. Should she postpone her confrontation, diving deeper into the project that had become a lifeline, or should she face her father, risking the stability of her newfound purpose? A deep breath filled her lungs, clarity sharpening her thoughts. Sarah was poised on the edge of a precipice with two depths below, one leading to familiarity and obligation, the other to growth and unknown adventure. Her fingers danced over the screen, torn between the two worlds, one ultimately beckoning louder than the other. She pressed send to accept Alex's invitation. Resolution surged through her veins, coupled with apprehension. She would reclaim her voice and power, embracing the challenge that lay ahead. The moment she stepped into that meeting with Alex, the painful memories of her father's betrayal would tumble into the background. But the echoes of her past would not be silenced easily. As she moved toward a new chapter, Sarah sensed that her journey was about to take a turn she couldn't yet anticipate. Unexpected revelations awaited her, tangled threads that could either weave a beautiful tapestry or ensnare her once more. The moment loomed close, her phone now vibrating with another call, this time from her father. Would she answer, or would she finally choose the path meant for her, a path that might lead her further away from those she once felt obligated to keep close? The cafe buzzed with energy as Sarah stepped inside, a stark contrast to the tumultuous emotions brewing within her. She spotted Alex at a corner table, blueprints of their healthcare initiative spread out before him, his brows slightly furrowed as he focused intently on the diagrams. The vibrant atmosphere around her felt dissonant. Laughter floated overhead, while she felt anchored beneath the weight of pivotal choices. As she approached with measured steps, Sarah couldn't ignore the sudden tide of apprehension crashing over her. Could she truly set aside her unresolved past as she endeavored to build something meaningful with Alex? He glanced up, his face lighting up with a warm smile that eased some of her anxiety. It was moments like these that illuminated the stark contrast between her excitement for the project and the shadows she carried from her family dynamics. "Thanks for meeting me," he said, his voice smooth, encouraging. "I think we're onto something big here." Sarah nodded, the enthusiasm in his tone infectious, but the knots in her stomach tightened. They discussed algorithms for patient care, logistics, and potential partnerships with local hospitals, each new idea enveloping her in a web of inspiration. Yet, With every engaging detail, her mind drifted back to her father's relentless calls, the unresolved issues that lingered like an uninvited guest. Each time she feigned confidence, the thoughts echoed, was she making a mistake by choosing this path? The meeting continued, adrenaline surging as they bounced ideas off one another, solvable challenges unfolding before them. But just as Sarah began to feel alive with purpose, a flash of her childhood home flooded her mind, the cracked wallpaper, hushed arguments, and the chilling silence when conversations turned too heated. The familiar sense of inadequacy clawed at her, raised like ghosts with each ambitious plan they laid down. Was she truly equipped to integrate the scales of her ambition with the weight of her past? Sarah, Alex's voice broke through her reverie. We need your insights. You have a unique perspective on patient care that could really elevate this initiative. Don't hold back. His eyes searched hers for affirmation, genuine belief shining through. For a moment, Sarah felt a swell of pride, a realization that perhaps she was not merely retreating from her family. She was stepping into her own power, transcending inherited narratives that no longer served her. She opened her mouth to voice her thoughts, her fears, her hesitations. But the dam of unspoken words tightened around her throat. Was she ready to confront the truth beneath her layers of reluctance? The very truth that held her back from fully embracing her aspirations? Without realizing it, the lines connecting her past to this new ambition throbbed painfully. Forgetting her father wasn't an option. Denying him was dangerous territory. But neither was surrendering to familial obligation. There lay the crux of her dilemma, whether to lead with fear or courage. I appreciate that, Alex. I'm committed to this, she finally articulated, the admission releasing some of the pressure within her. But I can't shake this feeling that I need to address my past first. It pulls at me. He tilted his head, studying her. Then maybe it's time to face it head on, not just for yourself, but for this project. It could give you the clarity you need. The suggestion hung in the air, firmly rooted with its weighty implications. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. The screen revealed her father's name like a siren call, beckoning her back into the depths of familial chaos. Alex glanced at her phone, sensing the heaviness returning. Sarah, he urged softly, this initiative is important, but so is your peace of mind. You don't have to choose between them. A fierce internal battle raged within her. Could she find the strength to face the man who had shaped her past, without sacrificing the future she longed for? As she reached for her phone, Alex's words echoed, a portal to understanding existed if she could muster the courage to unlock it. With trembling fingers, she hesitated, contemplating the potential confrontation ahead. The moment was pregnant with tension and uncharted territory. It could either tether her to unresolved tumult or propel her towards liberation. What awaited her on the other side of that choice? In that pivotal moment, forging a path forward felt both exhilarating and terrifying. But Sarah understood one thing clearly. The next step was crucial and could very well define her journey ahead. As she inhaled deeply, about to answer the call, she felt an unfamiliar resolve bubbling within her. Perhaps it was time to finally uncover her true self. What truths awaited her, and could she truly embrace them without turning back? As Sarah stared at her phone, her heart raced, and the familiar conflict surged through her mind. The name that filled her screen mirrored the turmoil churning in her chest. What was her father going to say this time? Would it be another half-hearted attempt to reconcile? Or perhaps a reminder of the burdens she had fought so hard to escape? The thought alone threatened to pull her back into the depths of anxiety she was eager to elude. Sarah? Alex's voice broke through, drawing her focus back to the moment. You don't have to answer if you're not ready. We can talk about the initiative. Just take a moment. The soft reassurance swirled around her, wrapping her with consideration. She realized that in this exact moment, standing before Alex and the plans they were developing, lived her chance to reclaim control not just over her career, but over her life. Overcoming unforeseen challenges would be her rite of passage, and she could only do that by reconciling with the past, grappling with indecision. She placed the phone back on the table. A small act, but it felt monumental, a deliberate choice to prioritize her professional path over the latent familial obligations. She took a deep breath, thoughts racing as she scanned through the blueprints and scribbled notes, seeking solace in the details they had worked tirelessly to develop. I'm sorry, Alex, she managed to say, her voice steady now. It's just that I've been trying to push my family issues aside for so long. But I can see now that the only way I'll move forward is to confront them. It's a part of who I am. Alex nodded, the lines on his brow easing as he acknowledged her commitment. That sounds like the next step you need. Just remember, tackling this doesn't mean you have to shoulder it alone. We're building a team here, and you're a vital piece of that puzzle. If you need someone to lean on, I'm here. His encouragement wrapped around her, a lifeline amidst the brewing storm. The weight of her father's expectations mingled with the thrill of forging a new professional identity, tapping into uncharted depths of her passion. Okay, she resolved softly, the words now carrying the weight of intent and determination. The idea of confronting her past ignited a blend of ambition and fear. She recognized it was time to speak her truth, and through that truth, perhaps she could finally free herself from inherited doubts. Let us meet up tomorrow to brainstorm some more. Maybe I can harness this energy into our project, she said, glancing back at the blueprints. The pang of doubt remained, but it was less suffocating now, blended with an ember of possibility. Looking forward to it, Alex responded, enthusiasm threading through his voice. And remember, clarity often comes from the most unexpected moments. Embrace this journey. As they wrapped up their meeting, Sarah felt the gears in her mind shift slightly. Tomorrow was the day she would take the leap. Picking up the phone once more, she opened her messages, her thoughts solidifying into a plan. But even as the resolve grew, another tremor of uncertainty prickled her resolve. What would that confrontation hold? Would it lead to yet another emotional ambush? Or could it unlock the door to genuine healing? In that moment of quiet reflection, the question loomed larger than anything. What if I can't bear the truth? The thought whispered through her mind, a shadow pulling gently at the more hopeful strands she had begun to weave into her story. Tomorrow wasn't just about a meeting. It was about initiating a battle, one that would either solidify her identity or risk unraveling it entirely. Sarah knew she needed to find strength not just for herself, but also to lay the groundwork for the brighter future she aspired to with Alex. Her determination burned clearer now, ready to face whatever awaited her. Yet, lurking in the back of her mind, doubts snaked around her, hinting that perhaps the real challenge was yet to come. Would her confrontation spark the transformation she sought, or would it plunge her deeper into despair as the sun began to set outside, casting elongated shadows across the cafe floor? Sarah felt propelled toward a crossroads of fate. The stakes had never been higher. Tomorrow she would not only answer the call, but also prepare to face her demons. The journey of reconciliation was about to begin, and in that journey, she sensed a deeper transformation awaited her, one that would bring her closer to her true self and her aspirations. What would she discover about herself in this pivotal confrontation? The thought loomed over her as she stepped out of the cafe, a quiet resolve hardening her heart. Right before she encountered the looming question, was she truly ready for the tumult that lay ahead? The next morning felt heavy with anticipation as Sarah prepared for the confrontation she had been dreading. The sun streamed through her window, illuminating the clutter in her room, a visible manifestation of the chaos her mind struggled to unravel. She inhaled deeply, trying to steady her racing thoughts. In her heart, she knew today was about more than just speaking to her father. It was about confronting the limits she had long imposed on herself. Standing in front of the mirror, she applied her makeup with a deliberate precision that mirrored the resolve brewing within her. Each stroke of the brush was an assertion of her identity, a reminder that she was not just defined by her past. Thoughts drifted to her conversation with Alex. The trust he had placed in her, she needed to harness that belief, transform it into something tangible as she faced the tempest ahead. She shook off the lingering doubts, reminding herself of the roadmap that lay ahead, not merely an emotional confrontation, but a strategic dialogue that could redefine her narrative. Beneath the surface of their strained relationship was a chance for liberation, and she had to grab it. Arriving at her father's office felt surreal. Each step toward the door was weighted with the countless experiences that had led her here, the disappointments, the resentments, but also a profound desire for resolution. The familiar scent of old leather chairs greeted her, along with memories of stilted conversations and expectations that hung like chains between them. As she walked in, Her father looked up from his desk. His face was stricken with recognition, the unspoken acknowledgement of years lost to misunderstanding and emotional distance. There was a flicker of vulnerability in his eyes, and for a moment, Sarah hesitated, battling the instinct to retreat. "Sarah," he began, but the words faltered, heavy with unexpressed sentiments. "Dad," she interjected, her voice steady despite her tumultuous emotions. "I need to talk about us. About everything." His brow furrowed. "I didn't think you'd come. I need you to listen." The urgency in her tone surprised even her. This was at the moment where she could take back the years that felt stolen, a chance to rewrite the dialogue between them. They settled into an uneasy silence, both apprehensive yet aware that something necessary lay just beneath the surface. "I know we've both made mistakes. I've spent too much time trying to escape what you represent instead of facing it." His features softened, perhaps sensing her genuine intent for the first time. "I know I haven't been the father you needed. I've always thought I was doing what was best for you, but I see now it was based on my own fears." Sarah could feel walls start to crumble, but she had to drive her point home. "But those fears didn't give me the freedom I needed to grow. I had to create my own identity apart from you." This felt like claiming territory, carving out space in a relationship that had always felt confined. "What do you want from me?" His voice edged with trepidation as he leaned closer, the old wounds surfacing around the edges of his inquiry. "I want understanding. I want us to move forward, strengthened by whatever we can make out of our past." Her direct gaze connected the two of them in an unguarded moment. It was daunting, but as she met his eyes, she felt an unexpected courage. "Then let's do that," he replied, an air of resignation punctuating his capitulation. "I want to understand you too. What if I share parts of me that you might not embrace?" "I'm willing to try," he admitted, his tone softened, casting away the rigid postures of before. Sarah recognized this as a shift, albeit small. Yet, it amplified her determination. She felt the ground shifting beneath her feet, a rational perspective emerging from a lifetime of unarticulated emotions. But then she wondered, would this fragile budding of communication hold? Was his willingness to engage genuine, or just a fleeting impulse? Time was the final arbiter of trust, and as they talked, doubt lingered, though hope began to flicker as well. Amidst the painful truths they exchanged, Sarah understood that transformation would require vigilance. This was her beginning, her chance to sculpt a new reality with her father, one rooted in authenticity. Such beginnings were precarious, and yet, the prospect of a potential resolution ignited something profound within her. As she left the office, Sarah felt an unfamiliar buoyancy. She had confronted her deepest fears, but what transformed her perspective was the looming challenge of nurturing this new dynamic. The questions remained. Could she maintain this momentum? Would her father's newfound intent prove enduring? Her path was just beginning to unfurl, and with every step, she could sense the complexities of her identity growing richer. It was far from over, but a hint of clarity emerged. It was time to build on this foundation, to collaborate with her father as opposed to reinventing herself in spite of him. Turning a corner, another thought struck her, a deeper inquiry into her own willingness to forgive. How far was she prepared to go in this journey toward acceptance? An unexpected intersection of futures awaited her, and the unmistakable pull towards reciprocity and healing stirred within her, promising challenges yet unknown. With her father's office fading into the distance, Sarah felt the weight of the conversation still clinging to her like a second skin. It wasn't just about what had been said. It was about what had remained unsaid, lurking in the corners of her mind. She recognized the potential for healing, but grappled with how to cultivate it into something real and lasting. Just then, the chirping of her phone pulled her from her contemplations. It was a message from Alex, simple yet profound, reminding her about their meeting later that evening. His unwavering belief in her had become both a beacon and a challenge. Sarah realized that her next step would require more than just addressing her relationship with her father. It was also about fortifying the other connections in her life. She could no longer afford to hide behind walls built of fear and self-doubt. She had to navigate this new territory with greater clarity and courage. As she walked, thoughts of Alex pushed through the fog of reluctance. He represented a fresh start, a partnership devoid of old expectations. However, Did she inadvertently invite the weight of her unresolved emotional baggage into this budding relationship? It was a reality she could no longer ignore. Arriving home, Sarah debated her next course of action. Should she prepare for her conversation with Alex like she had done with her father? Or would this meeting require a different approach? She understood that authenticity was key, yet it was equally frightening to be vulnerable with someone who had so quickly become integral to her recovery. After a brief internal struggle, she decided to document her feelings. She sank into a chair with a notebook, pen poised over the pages. Writing had long been a refuge for her, a way to dissect her thoughts. "Dear Alex," she began, not entirely sure where it would lead. "I want to be honest about my fears regarding us. We're navigating something new, and I can't help but wonder how I will impact your life, considering how haphazard mine has felt at times." Writing helped her pinpoint the emotions that threatened to bubble over: fear of inadequacy, anxiety about the possibility of dragging someone down with her. As she fleshed out her concerns, clarity began to replace confusion. These thoughts weren't just self-inflicted chains. They were insights illuminating areas where she could improve both personally and relationally. Once she finished her letter, there was a newfound resolve coursing through her. It was then that she remembered her father's acknowledgement of his own fears. Why should she not adopt that openness in her communication with Alex? Doing so could forge an unbreakable foundation, one built on shared vulnerabilities rather than silent burdens. Dressed in evening casuals, Sarah picked up the letter, folding it neatly, preparing to hand it to Alex when they met. She envisioned him receiving it, his eyes flickering with understanding. Suddenly, mind racing, she felt an unsettling doubt. Was she ready to risk not just revealing her fears, but also possibly stumbling in front of Alex? Arriving at the cafe a little early, Sarah took a deep breath and scanned the room nervously. The aroma of brewed coffee filled the air, gentle conversations swirled around like a comforting blanket. But the warmth did little to stave off her anxiety. Was she prepared to stand strong in the face of whatever Alex might say? Would he see her for who she was or who she once was? Then she saw him wrapped in that familiar smile, his presence radiating calmness. And yet, as he approached, a surge of insecurity hit her. Her heart raced not just from excitement, but from the weight of her intentions, her determination to be real with him. "Hey, Sarah," he said, his eyes brightening as he took a seat across from her. "Hey, Alex, I brought something for you." The letter felt heavy in her pocket, a reluctant anchor just as much as an invitation to connection. Taking a moment, she steadied her breath, ready to unearth the truth before them both. But before she could hand it over, an unexpected moment of disruption occurred. Her phone buzzed again, not with a comforting text, but a call from her father. Tension enveloped her, mirroring the fracturing uncertainty she had tried to put behind her. To answer or not to answer? In that brief moment suspended in time, she recognized how far she had come and yet how much lay ahead. What her father had to say could reshape not just the night, but her journey. The decision loomed before her like a turning point. Would she respond to the call that could echo her past, or embrace the present she was desperately trying to build with Alex? Sarah clenched her jaw, aware that her path was shifting yet again, yet totally unsure of where it might lead. The phone call hung in the air, a fragile yet charged invitation to a past she hoped to bury. Sarah felt the weight of the moment settle in her gut, pulling her from the light-hearted ambience that surrounded Alex. She glanced at him, his expression open and warm, unaware of the storm brewing inside her. This was an opportunity, she thought, a chance to break the cycle of avoidance and silence that had defined her family dynamic for too long. As the phone continued to ring, she realized she had a choice: respond or retreat. The urge to answer was powerful, but so was the desire to connect with Alex in that moment fully. She bit her lip, fighting against the instinct to flee back into the shadows of her past. Her fingers instinctively tightened around the letter, but the noise seemed to intensify the sense of urgency she felt. "Sarah?" Alex's voice, tinged with concern, gently broke her reverie. "Is everything all right?" "Yeah, I just need a moment." The words felt heavy as they left her mouth. She needed to confront her demons, but her jaw clenched at the thought. With a resolve that surprised her, she silenced the call, burying her father's voice beneath the soft buzz of the cafe. As she turned her attention back to Alex, Something within her roiled, a strange mix of fear and fortitude. "Sorry about that," she said, forcing a smile. "Guess it was a wrong number." "Not a problem at all." His demeanor shifted slightly, as if sensing the wall she was trying to build around herself. "I'm just glad we get to spend this time together." His acknowledgement struck a chord deep within Sarah. Instead of retreating, she felt compelled to lean into the discomfort, to openly share what she pinned so carefully in the letter. "Actually, I brought something for you." The tremor in her voice hinted at the significance of what was to come. She reached for the folded note in her pocket and held it out to him. "It's kind of a letter about, well, us." Alex accepted it, curiosity painting his features. "Can I read it?" "Of course." She watched him unfold the paper, her heart racing in synchrony with the vulnerability she felt coursing back into the room, filling the spaces that had felt stifled just moments before. As he began reading, Sarah felt exposed, her inner world laid bare before him. Fragments of her fears danced around her thoughts. What if this pushed Alex away? Or what if he didn't understand? A fleeting thought crossed her mind. Was it too soon? But deep down, she recognized the essential truth. Vulnerability was the crux of building authentic relationships. Suddenly, the burden of silence felt heavier than the risk of exposure. When he finally looked up, his eyes glistening with understanding, she found an unexpected strength in his gaze. "Sarah," he began slowly, "this is really brave of you." A warmth spread through her chest, igniting an ember of hope. After all the chaos she navigated, to be seen and accepted was an anchoring sensation. "And," he continued, "it's important. I want to know what you're feeling and experiencing. That's how we move forward." His words were both calming and galvanizing, and for the first time that evening, she caught a glimpse of the future they could create together, a reality shaped by openness and trust, where each would have the freedom to express their fears. But as encouragement washed over her, her phone buzzed again. This time it was a text, a simple message from her father. "I know we need to talk. Can we meet tomorrow?" The request felt like a weighty anchor amidst the flickering light of hope she was discovering with Alex. Her heart sank once more. The prospect of confronting past wounds loomed before her like an unavoidable tempest. Would she have the strength to address what lay ahead with her father while navigating this newfound connection? Taking a steadying breath, she looked Alex in the eye. He smiled, waiting in anticipation. "What's on your mind?" Sarah hesitated, grappling with the fracture between her past and her potential future. Would she have to choose? Steeling herself, she weighed her options. Should she engage fully with Alex, or turn back to her past for closure? "Alex, there's something I need to tell you," and in that moment, the trajectory of her journey shifted once more, balancing on the edge of profound revelation and the unknown. Would she have the courage to tackle both her past and her present without losing herself in the process? The words hung in the air like a delicate thread, ready to snap at any moment. Sarah's heart raced as she searched for the right way to articulate her struggle. The moment felt pivotal, a crossroads in her journey toward embracing herself wholly. Yet, the fear of exposure screamed louder than anything else. "Alex, I need you to understand something about me," she began, struggling to find the clarity that had felt so close just moments ago. There's a part of my life that I haven't shared. It's complicated." Alex's expression softened, but there was a flicker of worry, as if he sensed the weight that lay ahead. She swallowed hard, feeling the heat rising to her cheeks. "My father, he and I haven't had a good relationship, and it's shaped who I am in ways I can't quite process. I've spent so long avoiding that chapter of my life. But now he says he wants to talk. I don't know how to face him, and you're scared," Alex interjected gently, the concern in his voice laced with understanding. "Yes." The word burst from her lips, a release of pent-up anxiety. "It's like every time I think I'm moving forward, this ghost of my past drags me back. I want to be vulnerable with you. I do. But my past feels like a wall that I can't quite break through." The reluctant truth spilled from her like ink splattered on a canvas. She feared that every revelation would push Alex away, that he wouldn't accept the jagged pieces of her story. But as she spoke, an unexpected determination started to swell within her. It was as if admitting this weakness transformed it into a point of strength. Alex leaned forward, his brows drawn with the gravity of her words. "You don't have to have everything figured out right now. It's okay to feel lost. It's about how you confront that. Facing him can be part of your healing, not just for you, but for what we're building together. His perception stunned her. She had expected assurance cloaked in platitudes, but Alex grounded her with reality. This was not just about her fears. It was about growth, authentic transformation that paved the way for connection. The conversation ricocheted in her mind, a dance between uncertainty and clarity. I want to be honest with you, Alex. I want to find a way to integrate my past, to stop running from it. But how? My entire life feels chaotic, and I risk everything trying to piece it together. By facing it head-on, you'll begin to understand how it impacts you, he said, his voice steady and strong. You're not alone in this. I'm here with you, through the good and the tough parts. Those words took root in her heart, a fragile flame kindling hope. Maybe confronting her father didn't need to be a battle where she would emerge defeated. Maybe it could be the catalyst for her metamorphosis, a moment that helped her redefine who she was outside of her family's shadows. Yet, a creeping thought lingered: could she reconcile meeting her father with the budding relationship she was developing with Alex? As fear tangled with determination, her phone buzzed again. This time, the notification wasn't just a message. It was an invitation to a confrontation she had delayed for far too long. Should she risk this moment, invite Alex into her world to witness her vulnerability, or shield him just to preserve the delicate connection they had forged? As indecision washed over her, she remembered Alex's support. "Would you come with me tomorrow?" she blurted, the words instinctual yet transformative. "To the meeting with my father?" He looked at her, surprise and admiration aligning in his eyes, and a question rested at the tip of his tongue. "Are you sure?" Even in her hesitance, a new sense of agency surged within her. "Yes, I think I want to share this part of me with you." As she waited for his response, the atmosphere charged with unspoken promises. A new challenge lay ahead. Would this decision to confront her past alongside Alex strengthen their bond, or would the delicate fabric of their relationship unravel under pressure? "Let us face it together," he finally replied, a soft resolution that wrapped around her heart like a protective shield. In that moment, she felt the ripple of her growth begin. The desire to integrate her past was stronger than the fear to let it out. But as they left the cafe, resolving to confront the impending storm, another message vibrated on Sarah's phone. A familiar name, a reminder of her complicated history, and a request that shifted the ground beneath her feet. "Can we talk tonight?" The message blinked at her, an urgent call back to her unresolved past. Sarah's breath caught, a mix of anguish and anticipation swirling within her. This was at the moment of truth loomed ahead, and she wondered once again if she had the strength to confront everything at once. The night air was thick with tension as Sarah stared at her phone, the lit screen illuminating her conflicted expression. The invitation to talk from her father brought forth an avalanche of emotions, threatening to overwhelm the newfound clarity she had just begun to embrace with Alex. Moments ago, she had felt empowered, ready to face the past. Now, doubt clawed at her resolve, whispering the familiar refrain of fear. She glanced over at Alex, who was deep in thought, perhaps considering the weight of their next steps. His presence was steady, yet the uncharted territory before them loomed larger by the second. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice laced with concern. Sarah hesitated, the truth teetering on the edge of her lips. "I'm not sure," she finally admitted, her hands trembling slightly. To admit any vulnerability now felt like stepping onto a precipice. "Do you want to talk about it?" he prompted gently, inviting her to dive deeper into the maelstrom swirling within her. She nodded slowly, taking a deep breath to ground herself. "My father, he hasn't been a part of my life for years. It's a toxic relationship, one I thought I had left behind," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "Now, with him reaching out, I feel like I'm being pulled back into a world I've fought so hard to escape." A flicker of understanding crossed Alex's features. Facing him tomorrow can be a reckoning, an opportunity, not just a confrontation, he said, and his words resonated with her. "It might help you reclaim that part of your narrative instead of letting it control you." His perspective sparked something new within her. Maybe this meeting wasn't just a brief return to chaos, but a potent moment for transformation. However, the message from her father was like a thread unraveling in a sweater. Balancing this with her burgeoning relationship with Alex felt precarious, yet necessary. What if it all spirals out of control? She questioned aloud, pulling at the fraying edges of her thoughts. What if I can't just talk to him? What if he tries to manipulate me again? Then you let him know that you've changed, Alex said with a fierce glint in his eyes. You have to be firm in your boundaries now. That's the key, you control the narrative. He leaned closer, his sincerity enveloping her like a warm cloak against the cold, unfeeling reality of her past. What happened before doesn't define you, Sarah. Tomorrow, you're not just facing him. You're facing the person you've become, the one who deserves respect and honesty. As her heartbeat steadied, she felt determination burgeoning within her. The fear remained, but now it was wrapped in a cocoon of potential. She began to see meeting her father not as a retreat into vulnerability, but as a bold step towards ownership of her life story. Just as she felt her thoughts crystallizing, her phone vibrated again, snapping her focus. This time, it was a message from her mother, expressing concern about her upcoming meeting and urging caution. It brought another wave of anxiety, the familiar tug-of-war between her past and the future she was trying to build. The clock on the wall ticked steadily, a reminder that time was slipping away and the moment of confrontation was fast approaching. I feel like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff, she confessed, her heart racing. What if I fall? Then I'll be right there to catch you, Alex assured, his unwavering faith in her igniting a flicker of hope. Suddenly, an idea crystallized in her mind with fierce clarity. Maybe I'll ask him why he wants to talk now. What does he want from me? The realization dawned on her. This was her chance to reclaim power to dictate the terms of their relationship and not be a victim of it. As she stood in the doorway to this watershed moment in her life, she felt lighter. But the uncertainty still loomed. What if unearthing these buried feelings chipped away at her newfound strength? Let us go through some strategies tonight, she suggested, her voice gaining confidence. I want to prepare for everything, just in case. Absolutely. We'll take it step by step together, Alex agreed, his support fortifying her resolve in that instant. Sarah recognized the first steps toward personal agency were forming. It was a moment of growth and acknowledgement that she was no longer the scared girl trapped by family expectations, but a woman on the verge of redefining her narrative. But as they began discussing potential scenarios and boundaries, a chilling thought crept into her mind. Was she truly ready to expose herself completely? Just how deep was the layer of hurt still buried inside? With that question hanging heavily in the air, the stakes felt higher than ever. What awaited her at their meeting tomorrow could either bind her past to her future or finally sever the ties with the person she had fought long and hard to escape. With the sun rising over Chicago, casting golden rays across her bedroom, Sarah pulled in a steadying breath, holding on to the clarity and strength she had cultivated over the last few days. Today was not merely a meeting. It was a moment of reckoning, an opportunity to redefine her familial legacy while resolutely stepping into her own freedom. She was past the threshold of uncertainty, having chosen courage over fear, stepping into her outfit, a tailored blazer aiming for professionalism, yet reflecting her vibrant personality, felt liberating. She paused in front of the mirror, affirming her transformation with a confident nod. Gone was the paralyzed girl worried about approval. The woman before her was fueled by ambition and self-acceptance. Sarah made her way to her father's office. Her mind buzzed with strategies and boundaries articulated during last night's session with Alex. She wasn't just facing her father. She was confronting years of silence and unexpressed emotions that had kept her trapped. Rather than succumbing to familial patterns, she would reshape the conversation into one of mutual understanding and honesty. When she arrived, the familiar scent of aged paper and leather hit her, yet it felt less like a haunting and more like an opportunity. This would be a moment to communicate openly, to articulate her past, while forging toward the future she envisioned. Walking into his office, Sarah took in her father's surprised expression. He had aged, lines mapping the face that was once a huge figure of authority in her life. "You came," he said, a mix of relief and uncertainty reflected in his voice. "I need answers, Dad." Her tone was steady, a firm control that surprised even her. "It's time we discussed why you wanted to meet." The shift in the atmosphere became palpable. She could see him bracing himself, the the tension between them electrifying, yet just within reach for negotiation. I understand. I have things I need to say too, he began, faltering slightly, stumbling over a lifetime of unresolved issues. Good, she pressed, allowing the moment to deepen. But we need to be clear. This is not just about your perspective anymore. I've carried years of hurt, and I am ready to articulate how your actions impacted my life. His brows furrowed, but there was a spark of acknowledgement igniting in his eyes, like he was finally beginning to recognize her depth. It was in this moment that Sarah saw her power defined in action, the pieces of empowerment threading together as she articulated her experiences. I grew up feeling lost, Dad, she continued, her voice unwavering. Your decisions planted seeds of self-doubt in my heart. Every time I sought approval, I felt like I was chasing a shadow, one that never validated me. I spent so long trying to escape that reality, and now, I need you to know that I refuse to allow it to dictate my choices any longer. Their conversation evolved into an earnest exchange, no longer bound by fear. She articulated her aspirations, the passion ignited by her involvement with Alex, a project that was more than just a job. It was evidence of her growth. She explained it not as a rejection of him, but as her burgeoning discovery of self-worth. In a candid moment, her father finally opened up, surrendering to an understanding that had long eluded them both. I see that now, Sarah. I was often just a scared man trying to protect you, but I realized my methods were harmful. I didn't allow you the space to grow or make choices. The release of those words hung in the air, a potential pivot toward healing. You're both an adult, and you have the right to determine your own path, he said, a cautious sincerity lacing his utterance. It was as if the years of resentment began to peel away layer by layer, exposing potential reconciliation. As the conversation deepened, Sarah recognized she was not merely confronting the past. She was forging a connection, a renewal built on authentic truths. When it finally ended, both stood at the precipice of redemption, marked by a newfound understanding and resolution. Walking out of the office, a kaleidoscope of emotions coursed through her, but at the center of it all was a solid confidence. For the first time, she felt the narrative belonged to her. She had demonstrated the courage to tackle her past and weave it into her future, no longer shackled by familial expectations. Arriving at the cafe to meet Alex, she felt different, her stride measured, shoulders squared. Hey, he greeted, concerned yet hopeful. How did it go? I took back my voice, she declared, allowing the weight of her triumph to settle. I told him everything, and for the first time, I feel unburdened. The smile that broke across his face shone brighter than the morning sun. You're incredible, Sarah. I knew you had it in you all along. Confidence blossomed within her as she sank into the chair opposite him, radiant with newfound clarity. Thank you for believing in me. You were right, facing him made me stronger. Their conversation transitioned from the personal to professional. Ideas flowed easily between them like a well-oiled machine, each spark igniting the enthusiasm for their project. She explained her vision and how they could explore paths that intertwined deeply with their shared mission. Each moment felt like proof of her transformation from standing in the shadows to establishing her position as a competent partner brimming with potential. As they clinked their cups, Sarah felt alive, empowered, proud. She realized that she had achieved not just an individual resolution, but also a significant milestone, an authentic connection with Alex, a mentor and partner in every sense. The narrative turned a page, bringing forth a rich collaborative venture and a renewed family relationship. She recognized a beauty in balance, embracing the past while crafting a promising future. Today felt monumental, cementing her identity grounded in strength, courage, and love. Her heart still fluttered with exhilaration. She had not only faced her father but conquered the fears tied to her origin. As she marched forward, emboldened, Sarah affirmed her commitment to herself, to her work, and to evolving relationships. She had demonstrated resilience, bravery, and authentic growth. It was more than a personal achievement. It was a declaration of triumph echoing through the chapters of her life. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about this ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.